Hi YouTube. So today I want to talk about something that I wanted to talk about something that I guess I've wanted to talk about for last year. We're coming up on my birthday on the 16th, and last year I had my first miscarriage on my birthday, unfortunately. So I feel that in kind of the anniversary of that, and I don't want to say anniversary, it's not a celebration, but I mean it is in terms of that we're going to be finding out the gender of this baby 2 days after my birthday this year. So, it's kind of, I just wanted to talk about my miscarriage experiences and really just say that if there's anybody else out there that, you're not alone. And for me, I didn't think I would feel this emotional just sitting here talking about it, but I haven't talked about it really for the better part of a year. So, I think that I would like to. And I'm just going to say some of the things I might talk about, they may be graphic or upsetting. So please, I'm telling you, this is about miscarriages and loss. It's not a happy video. So, if you think you're going to be upset or offended or whatever, please don't watch my video. But if you are interested in knowing what my experience was, please keep watching. So, we found out we were pregnant, let me think, last year, Christmas Eve. I was a week late, obviously, and I took a test, and it was positive. Just couldn't believe it. We had been trying for a couple months to get pregnant before that, so it was really surreal that I was actually pregnant. And I was really sick for the entire pregnancy. I had bad, awful morning sickness. I couldn't stand up in the shower without throwing up. I couldn't eat anything. I actually went on Declectin, which did help, but it made me extremely exhausted. I already had bad exhaustion just from the hormones, and then on top of with the Declectin, I literally just slept for about, the pregnancy ended at 6 weeks, so I pretty much slept that entire time. So I went to the doctor the day I took the test, and she booked me an ultrasound for, I think it was the end of January. So we went, and it felt so far away when they booked it, because I found out really early at 4 or 5 weeks. And we went in for the ultrasound, and I mean, for any of you who've had this experience, you know how it is. You're lying there. You can't ask questions. They don't tell you anything until the very end, but, halfway through the examination, I started to just get this gut feeling that everything wasn't okay. And the lady, she took a bunch of pictures. It felt like forever, and then she left, and she said, okay, I'm going to go talk to the radiologist, and then I'll come back. So she came back with the radiologist, and they sat me down and just said, we're sorry, but we can't find a heartbeat. And I mean, I just felt numb. I mean, numb, but I was angry. I wasn't I didn't start crying right away. I just felt angry. I wanted to tear their throats out. I wanted to, be like, well, how do you know this information? And how can you sit there calmly and tell me that the embryo has died, and, and then present these options of how to eliminate the pregnancy, and I was offered misoprostol, I think that's how you say it, the pill to take. I was offered a D&C, and then I was offered to wait it out. And they told me, if you wait it out too long, there's a risk of an infection, and, really tried to scare me with that, I felt, and I think. But just ultimately, none of them want to be responsible for somebody dying because of getting an infection, when there's these other options. But I initially booked the D&C, and I canceled it. I canceled it twice. And I actually went to an OB's office to get misoprostol, and I took it home with me, and I looked at it for about a week, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So ultimately, I started bleeding on Valentine's Day last year, so tomorrow. And then on my birthday, I started getting severe cramping. Oh, by the way, at the ultrasound, the baby measured 6 weeks and 2 days, but I was supposed to be about like 8 or 9 weeks. So, I mean, that's if you want to know. I started just getting cramping, and I was told by the OB, my doctor, the radiologist, online even, that with my miscarriage only being 6 weeks along, to just expect basically a period, just a heavier, crampier period, and it was not. It was not. I had full-on labor contractions, and I was, you know, by myself. It was like, it started around 11:30 at night on my birthday, and by about 5 a.m. I was just beyond pain. I just felt like the pain wasn't measuring up to the amount of blood. You know, like there just wasn't a lot of blood coming out, or anything passing really. It was just insanely bad pain. So I ended up calling 911. And I went to Emerge. They took me into the mat ward for some reason. There was a bassinet in there and all of these, you know, newborn things, and I was really upset about it. The only good thing was they had a tub, which I used. It made me throw up though, I think because it dehydrated me. I mean, the pain was just so bad that I was putting like boiling water on my back. I had like burns and bruises on my back the next day. And then they eventually took me down to ER because I just kept asking for pain medicine, because they're trying to page my doctor to make sure that I'm not a junkie or whatever, because I would specifically ask for morphine, because in my mind I felt that morphine was the only thing they could offer me that I couldn't, you know, have at home, besides, you know, Tylenol and Advil and all that. So, but I mean, I didn't know a lot then, so that's what I specifically just said I need a shot of morphine. So eventually got it all sorted out. They got me into a room. They gave me an IV. They gave me about 4 or 5 shots of morphine, which didn't even touch the pain. It gave me a little bit of a buzz in my head, and I was able to kind of sleep from that because they gave me like a anti-nausea shot as well, just because of the morphine. And Jordan, my fiance, was with me, and we ultimately just wrote it out. We just sat in bed and rested. Basically, sorry, there's a guy walking in my yard right now. We have construction going on, and all around the house, and people keep walking into my yard to pee, and it's really gross. So anyway, yeah, he's taking with. Okay, so eventually the doctor finally came to see me, and checked me and said that, you know, like I was fully like dilated, and he could see all the tissues. So he actually pulled everything out. He put like a metal container thing under me and pulled everything out, and it was the most disgusting sound and feeling ever. And then we went, I'm just trying to think. So we went home, and I'm sorry, he's just really cruising in my yard right now. Okay, so then as soon as he did that, the pain stopped. And we went home. And they swabbed for infections and everything like that. So that was the first one. We came home around 1 p.m. on the 17th. So yeah, there was that. And that was pretty brutal. And then I bled for about 22 days afterwards, on and off. I would have like light bleeding, and then I would like have spotting, and then I would have days where I didn't bleed, and then I would have heavy bleeding, and it was just ongoing for 22 days. And that was so dumb. And they told me that with bleeding like that there was an infection, but when I got checked and there wasn't. It's just one of those things that happen. So, and then So that was the first one. And then the last miscarriage, I got pregnant in June. We found out, just like regular, got up in the morning, took a test. Was scared out of my mind because I was worried, you know, the same thing would happen. I had bad morning sickness again. I had all the symptoms. We went in for the ultrasound. And yet again, they told me there was no heartbeat. And I was just like, really? Like, and I actually have that ultrasound, which I wanted to share with you. I know everyone's seen an ultrasound, they all generally look the same, but this one is special because, you know, this is all I have. So, I don't know what you can see, but yeah, it's the baby right there, obviously. And the ultrasound I have of this baby at 7 weeks and 4 days, because this one is 8 weeks and 3 days. My uterus is very different. Like, my uterus is more like a bowl shaped almost, and this one, I mean, it just doesn't look healthy to me. I don't know, it just looks really different. So I asked if I could take a picture because I didn't get one with the other pregnancy, and when it's that early on, you feel like a crazy person. Ultimately, you just feel like you have no proof that the pregnancy even happened. So they gave me the picture and they gave it to me for free, which I think was a nice gesture. I mean, really. So I again was offered DNC, misoprostol, and it was not recommended that I wait it out because I had had a miscarriage before. But as soon as I walked out of the ultrasound, my midwife called me and I said, I want to book the DNC, I want to go tonight, I want to get this over with and done because I didn't want it to drag out like the first one. And then we went home and cried. Just cried and cried and cried and cried. And we didn't tell anybody about the pregnancy. So we really had no support. It was just him and I. And I just remember screaming into the bed, you know, why is this happening again? And, you know, I can't lose another baby. And then I'm thinking about the amount of pain that I went through with the first one. And, you know, I think it's very different when you actually give birth to a living being and you get that reward at the end. But when you have that pain and you don't get anything at the end of it, you know, you come out of the hospital by yourself. It's just the most awful experience in my life. So I ended up canceling the DNC booking, and I just decided that I would wait it out and that I was going to have fun, and it was summer, and we went on a trip. We didn't do anything huge. We just drove to a place on the island. It's called Saratoga Beach, and we stayed at a nice resort for a couple of days and just had some really good quality time, and it was right on the beach, and I just felt like it was such a peaceful way to say goodbye, you know, just him and I together and knowing that the baby was still inside of me. Sorry. It was just, you know, that the baby would, the embryo would come out when they were ready, and my body would know what to do. It knew what to do before. So I trusted in that, and I carried the embryo for 22 days after the baby, I was told the baby had passed. When we went to the ultrasound, it was the same ultrasound. I was supposed to be between, you know, 8 and 9 weeks, but there was no heartbeat. So, yeah, we just waited and waited, and then at the end of August, I started to get cramping and bleeding, and I passed the embryo at home. I had the exact same pains. I had contractions, and it was just absolutely brutal. But this time I knew that it was normal, and I knew that it would end. Because the first time I thought that I was going to die. I thought that the pain would never stop, and I was just gonna die. But with the second one, I knew that it would be over, and it was part of the process. So, yeah. It was a couple days of that, and then I bled it tapered off for the next week. And I went and I got, checked for infections and everything was fine. And then ultimately, just like with any miscarriage, life goes on. It's and especially with family and friends and people that didn't know, I hung out with my friends. I went and I worked, and while I was miscarrying, and I would just excuse myself to go up to the bathroom and clean up blood. I just tried so hard to just move forward because I didn't want to just sit and cry and cry and cry about it. It's just, just the hardest thing I've ever been through. So I wanted to share my experiences with you guys because I know that I'm not the only one, and I know that there are other women out there who feel like me and who feel ashamed and guilty, and even though this baby is healthy and we're moving forward and everything, and I'm 18 weeks, almost 19 weeks now, you never forget. You never forget, and the pain never really goes away. Because as soon as you see that line on your pregnancy test, life begins. They say that life begins at conception, and it does, and it begins in a mother's heart when she sees that line. And I think that people need to just try. It's like you want people to understand, but you don't, because you don't want anybody to ever have to feel that pain. But I mean, just the way that it was met with my grandparents, my parents, the hospital, certain friends of mine, where they just don't understand, and they say things like, "Oh, you can try again," or "You're too young anyway," or they just don't get it. And I'm tired of living in shame about it. I'm tired of feeling like I failed and like shit and hating myself for it. It's not my fault, and it's not anybody's fault. There was nothing that could have been done. I did everything I could. And so yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is that there are not a whole lot of support groups for women who have had a miscarriage. Both times I've gone into the hospital for my miscarriages, they didn't know what to do with me. And there were other women there who were having miscarriages, and they just did not know what to do. They didn't know where to put us, what to do, anything. So I definitely think that something needs to change there, because I think miscarriages are a part of life. Women give birth, and to have a miscarriage, you have to be pregnant. So it's all connected, and unfortunately, And also, I just want to say to women, if you're like I was when I found out I was going to have a miscarriage, I searched Google and YouTube and all over the internet for information on what to expect, and I just want to say to expect anything. And if your bleeding gets out of control, your pain gets out of control, or you start to get a fever or any of that shit, call your doctor. Don't fuck around with it, because with my first one, it turned out that my cervix was blocked. And I didn't want to tell people that. I didn't want to freak people out, but my cervix just got blocked, and I could have died potentially if I hadn't have dealt with it in a extended period of time. So just make sure you follow your doctor's advice, but also to trust your body is the other thing. That the doctors and stuff seem to think that women's bodies are just, and anybody's body really, are just out to get them, and that they're full of infections and viruses, and that they're just going to get sick and rot and die. And they're not. Women's bodies are durable, they're strong, they are made, it sounds weird to say, but they are made to endure miscarriages, just like they're made to endure labor and birth, because it's all connected. And the pain is awful. It is awful. It's not even awful. It's out of this world. You just cannot even describe it. But it ends, and it has made me a stronger person. And I hate trying to find positive things out of losing my two babies. But I mean, the strengths that I've gained as an individual. I've taken it as a growth experience, and I have grown I've grown tremendously in many ways and aspects of my life. And if I had the baby the first time, you know, I may not have had those traits, but I'm hoping, and I already am so in love with this baby, and I mean, the second my baby is out of me and in my arms, I am never letting him or her go. I mean, makes me want to cry. That's how strongly I feel about it, and I definitely didn't quite feel that in my first pregnancy. So yeah, thank you for watching if you did, and you know, please, if you're, you know, into my videos, I will be making more. I'm going to be trying to do them weekly as my pregnancy progresses, but I definitely wanted to share this and get it out there. So, and if you have any questions, comments, whatever, feel free to go for it. I'm pretty open, but just, like I said, don't be rude, because I don't have time for it and it will be deleted. Sorry. I mean, life is just too short. And it's too short for you to sit there and type a rude comment, you know? So anyway, I'm going to go now. So thanks for watching. Bye.